Welcome to the Workhorse Podcast, where we dig deep into the grit, passion, and strategy behind building a successful rural business. We're your hosts.
I'm Kendall Ballantyne, owner of Central Park Farms and marketing for farmers.
And I'm Jessica Garza, owner of Moose Valley Ranch and founder of Market in the Mountains.
This podcast is for hardworking female farmers and rural entrepreneurs who are ready to turn their dreams into thriving businesses. From deep diving business strategies that actually work to balancing farm family life and everything in between.
We're here to give you practical tools, candid insights, and a healthy dose of community support. If you're looking for women who actually cheer you on, are willing to tell you the hard truths, and that understand how much it can throw off your day when the cows get out, you're in the right spot.
This podcast is for the doers, the women who don't stay in one spot for too long, for the workhorses.
Today, we get to talk to you guys about some big changes that are coming to our brand, the way that we work together. It's honestly kind of flipping the entire model on its head. And I have to say, this decision happened so quickly. It was shocking. It was not shocking if you know us, but it was shocking when you just sort of break it down timeline wise. And it has not been publicly announced at the time we're recording it, but by the time this is to you, you probably have seen an announcement about a new way that we are going to be doing the Workhorse coaching. It's no longer group coaching membership, monthly subscription style membership, and we are shifting to a whole new idea. So we're going to get into that with you. But first, we wanted to talk about how we got to that point, because I think for anyone that's been in business for a little bit of time, you start to really refine like what you know is working and working well. And then there's other points in your business where you're just like, man, this is not hitting right.
For sure. I remember when I first mentioned it to Jay, he had two concerns right out the gate. He's like, are you not working with Jess anymore? And I was like, no, of course, we're just pivoting. And he's like, so what you're telling me is the two of you are burning down the business and giving up all the revenue and you're going to start from scratch? And I was like, I mean, kinda.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Jay. You're not wrong.
And he's like, how are you paying the bills for that company? I was like, I'll figure it out, but we need to adjust.
Yeah, it had become really clear, I think, that we were... I don't even know, because nothing's wrong. Nothing bad happened. No one's upset, like no members or anything like that. It was just like almost when you go to take a step and you think you're on the bottom step and there's actually like one more and you sort of have this like,
Yes.
Is that's
a great way of saying it. I think at least I can feel what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. I hope maybe that doesn't translate well in
maybe it's just
land.
I think for me, it was just, and I know we had talked about when we kind of merged our programs together last year, I know we really talked about a big part of the why was wanting to make sure that women were getting forward movement in their businesses. The reason for us doing this was not to make a monthly reoccurring paycheck. It was to make sure that women were getting the support they needed, the community they needed, the forward movement that they needed. And we didn't want people to be inside a group coaching who were just existing inside of that space. We really wanted to see them accomplishing things. And I think that was kind of where this idea of shaking things up came, is that feeling of how do we get everyone moving forward to achieve the specific goals that they want in their business. And I think that just became a little bit more challenging because some of the women in group coaching have been with me since 2021. And then you get, women that join 2 months ago, and what the needs are of those two groups can be wildly different.
I don't want to diminish. A monthly subscription service is amazing. Having that income coming in was awesome. I started to feel really guilty that there were women paying every month that had never logged in. It wasn't the majority, but there was a couple of them, and I felt bad about that. Even though it's their choice, and even though they say, like that's just part of monthly subscriptions, I want people to get something out of it. I want them to be engaged and excited and really like a part of it, not just this sort of like I clicked purchase at some point and I, never hear from them again.
And I think particularly because group coaching for me, I know it was different for you. You were more rural business focused, but mine was really focused on agriculture, is what happens in a monthly subscription is you hit busy season for your farm and you check out, which is totally understandable. Absolutely agree. But that's why I think for me, it was like, how do we give people really narrowed down what they need to know as quickly and as effectively as they can so they can get in and actually do the thing in their business that they need that will make them more successful down the road, and then they can get out and just have that win that is not just a loop of education where you're constantly consuming and not really implementing.
Well, it was showcased in the retreat. The way that we set the retreat up was the retreats that we do were not show up, learn all the things, and then go home and hope that after you're gone for the whole weekend and your house is a mess and everyone's barely surviving, that you're then somehow going to miraculously implement the things that we talked about all weekend long. And so I know that we were very deliberate to carve out time. Like, we'll teach this session, and then there's a large chunk of time where you actually go and make the email newsletter sign up and the first introduction email and actually having it done so that when you go home, instead of being behind and then still trying to figure out how you're going to implement what you learned, you're already like, I did it. Oh, it's already it's going now. We're doing it.
Yes, exactly. And it all kind of came to a point when I was sitting down. I had a meeting for the farm with our bookkeeper controller. We've got a financial controller for the farm, and I was having a 4-hour meeting to wrap
I was
up.
so stressed for you.
Oh, I was
You
so stressed.
texted me that, and I was just like, oh my God.
I was like, I have a 4-hour meeting with our controller where she's going to pick through every financial decision I made last year. So wish me luck. And then immediately
like, hide all the receipts from the Uber Eats. Like,
she did.
We're not going to talk about that.
She did. She's like, I just want you to know that you need to cook more for yourself. And I was like, I love you, but then my payroll goes up. So one or the other.
Can we digress into that though really quickly? Is there a way to have a financial controller that doesn't offer an opinion?
No, sorry. I should correct myself. She didn't say that. She said, you sure got a lot of expenses that I had to put into personal drawings for Uber Eats. And I was like, yeah, I know. But then I guilt overworded it to her. I was like, oh yeah, but then I felt like I had to justify my own. And then Jake,
you would have just said like, yeah, that's how it was.
Yes,
she wouldn't have. Okay.
Yes, and then when Jake, no, it was just because I started to like try to do the thing where I like justify my own financial decisions. Where I'm like, but I gotta eat, and
like,
eating
I'm
is
somehow
better.
not the owner of this company that can decide that we're doing this.
And the thing is, I'm paying tax on that money, so it's not like I was doing something wrong. Like, it's just part of my personal income. Like, I'm not putting it as a company expense. So she's just like, by the way, you have a collection of expense. Well, and especially because they categorize it. So it's like sitting there so you don't see so you see the whole amount. And anyways, when Jay came in afterwards, I told him, and he's like, yeah, we got to eat. And I was like, why? That's such a guy response where I did the thing where I was like, well, I mean, I otherwise our payroll would be higher. Anyways, not the point of the story, but she did call me out on mention the Uber Eats. No, but she was talking to me about CPF, and then we jumped over to marketing for farmers, and we were talking about it. And she said, I need you to explain to me like what made you do this company. And because Central Park Farms is a beast now, you guys, like, it's a big company. It's growing really fast. And so she looks at it like, why are you diverting attention from this very big, it's profitable, it's all the things. Why are you diverting attention over here and focusing over here? And she's like, I need you to explain it to me. And I was like, started to explain it. And I was like, I want, women to be making forward movement in their business. I want to give them the supports that they need. And when I was talking through it, I started to get this feeling where I was like, are there women inside of group coaching for whatever reason, whether it's they had the best of intentions and then they didn't have the time commitment, or is it because they were waiting for, this month's session was fantastic and it was so good for them, but the next month's wasn't something they needed, whatever it was, where there was moments throughout their year where they were less engaged. And that wasn't what we were looking for. So I got off the call with her, the 4-hour Zoom meeting, and I immediately text Jess and I was like, can you call me? We need to talk. And she called me and I was like, what are your thoughts on totally changing the way we work together?
Yeah, it felt like you were nervous. Not nervous isn't the right word. Like that there was some sort of like, oh God, what's Jess gonna say? And I was immediately like, I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Well,
Let's do it. I'm in. It was just funny how that like conversation went.
and I think it's because Jay had come in first because obviously I just had a meeting in regards, and he doesn't sit in on those. So I was giving him the Cole's notes and I had quickly touched on it. And his first thought in the way I presented it was, you're not working with Jess anymore. So when I was bringing it to you, I was just wanting to make sure you knew this was not a reflection of my lack of enjoyment of working with you. I just want us to work together in a different way.
Oh, I love the kid gloves on my feelings. That's so sweet.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. It was just like,
No,
Jay had just
I know,
like,
right?
you know.
You don't ever, no, it was good. And I was immediately excited. And I don't know if I've been, well, we get excited for the retreats. Those are really, for me, those, I get excited when those are happening. But I don't know that I had gotten like excited about group coaching for a while. Like, I mean, we did the things and we did it well and we care for the girls. That's not like a reflection of the community, but just like that, you know, when you find the thing and it like lights the fire, I don't know that I had that for a while.
Yeah, and I think that is something that naturally happens in business. I mean, regardless, there's been times with the farm where I'm like, we're shooting on all cylinders and we're loving it and everything's great. And then there's times that there isn't. And it doesn't necessarily mean I need to burn the farm to the ground. But I think in this one, because that aligned at the same time as us coming to the realization that we think we could have women executing more, those two things together made the difference. If everybody was killing it and showing up and able to get exactly what they needed, and we were able to scale that into something that was really making the movement that we wanted for the women in that community. And, you know, we were in kind of like we got to push a little harder to show up the way we want to, then you push through. But I think the two things aligned in a way that told us that we could deliver our education in a way that was more meaningful and impactful to the women we want to help.
I think that's a good way to summarize it. What would you say though if someone scheduled a one-on-one with you and just said like, I think I need to burn this to the ground?
I actually had one of those. I had one of those last week. I had a one-on-one where she decided that she didn't want to, and without telling any information, but she decided she no longer wanted to do her company, and it's not because it failed.
Just, it didn't.
Yeah. And that's why she booked the one-on-one with me. She wanted to talk through that process, and it was not a failure. It was not anything. It was just a no longer fulfilling what she wanted out of her life. And she just wanted to know the best way to handle the closure of that.
I feel like we see a lot of that sort of realignment happen, especially around big life changes for women. It seems like marriage and children becomes one of those big like shifts of, is what am my current model aligning with this new transition into like family life? See it again if there's ever a divorce.
I was just about to say that.
When divorces happen, when kids fly the nest, like, is this maybe we were doing X, Y, and Z and the kids are now gone, and you know, we just kind of realized like that was a thing for the kids and that wasn't. So I feel like every time your life I wonder if it's that cyclical nature as a female.
One of my business mentors, who again, I mean, she's publicly shared this, but I'm still not going to put a name to it. Not because I wouldn't promote her, just in the context of this. She announced in an email newsletter that went out to her clients that she was making some changes in her business because she is getting divorced. Now she's realigning because now she's a single income household with kids. And so she is really going to try to make some changes to fulfill the needs that she needs as income, but also time, and also, you know, helping the women achieve what they need to in their lives. And so, you know, there's those different realignment points and things in your life that force you to make change or encourage you to make change.
Yeah, when the way you're doing business stops serving you or your goals or your people, your community, your family, that's really when it's time to evaluate. It can be the most profitable thing in the world. It can be the most successful thing. It can be the most flash in the pan, whatever it is. But if it stops serving you in that way, there's always the ability to realign. And I think a lot of times that is hard to get past the what are other people gonna think. And I know this because we talked through multiple times, how do we launch this new program that we're shifting to in a way that makes it clear that the people that are watching from the outside, it's not that we're not choosing to work together anymore, or that there was some like drama that happened, but like, how do we do this in a way that shows them why we're so excited to make the change and like all the good that's going to come from it, and makes it clear enough to people that there wasn't something that happened. And it's so funny because I was driving home last night and I was on the phone with a girlfriend of mine. Haven't had a chance to catch up with her. She's actually in group coaching with us. And she said, "What's up with you and Kendall stopping group coaching?" She's not plugged in enough to have heard either one of us talk about it yet. And so she was just kind of like, I saw in group coaching that this is going to end. What did we say? In June, whatever the date was, like that's the last session. And she's like, "Did something happen?" I was like, "No, nothing happened." Like,
and I
the best is coming.
I knew that would happen. And I think that, I mean, I don't want to get down the rabbit hole on it, but I think with female-founded companies and female-founded business partnerships, you are so much more likely to read further into a decision of, hey, we're making a change within our business, or we're not doing business together anymore. I mean, we are, but if that was the announcement, doesn't mean that a friendship exploded or a partnership exploded. It can be that one wants to chase more than the other. But I think we, even if it's a singular business that decides to no longer, it's like, how come she's decided to close her farm or whatever? And I find that there's a little bit of a runaway that can happen in that circumstance.
Yeah, I just thought it was so interesting that conversation came up, and I was actually in the back of my head like, oh, it's a good thing we're going to record a podcast on like, how did this come about? What is, because I was explaining it all to her and she immediately got excited and she was just like, that is awesome. Like, this sounds so good. And she goes, you mean I can pick when I want to do the stuff when I have time. And it's a topic that applies to me because right now they're waiting for like that magic alignment of it's the session they wanted in a month that they have the time to do it. And then we just hope that they implement it. And so she immediately saw the value of it. I was just dying when that was the first question.
Because we said it. We said it. We talked about it personally.
We totally called it.
And you know what? And it really it drove home to me that it was the right move when I, in coaching, brought it up. Like we had sent out an email, but not everybody gets the email. It was like sent that morning. And then we jumped into live coaching and I was talking to the women that were there live in session. And so much of the feedback was like, this is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. Like, yes, I love the idea that there's going to be like homework within my own business and accountability pieces and stuff like that, because that is the piece like you can learn. And I mean, we had a session of some capacity. They were different types of sessions, teaching, group coaching, content auditing, and community, but you had something every week. And so if you're not taking the time after you consume that to actually implement something, you can get in this hamster wheel of feeling like I'm doing something good for my business because I'm learning. But learning doesn't matter unless you execute. Unless you sit down and say, this is the thing that I learned about how I need to build out a welcome sequence with my emails. Knowing that you need a welcome sequence is different than sitting down and making it. And that's the piece that I'm excited to make sure that we're honing in on moving forward.
I am so excited to see it play out because just as you're saying that, I can think of 5, 6, 7 things that I know I have the knowledge that I need to be doing. I really should have implemented by now and have not. And having someone just outwardly hold you accountable for that of you've paid not a small amount to take this course and there are expectations and it builds upon itself. So you really only have between the sessions to get to the next level. Like step 1 is here and you have until next week to get that done because then we're moving on to step 2. I cannot wait to see how much more effective it is. And I'm really excited to start getting feedback. I mean, I know we've heard feedback from women that are excited to try that model. You got to try that model, which is actually how we landed on it.
I did. So I actually tried both of the models last year in 2024. So I invest in personal learning every year. Like, it's part of the budget. It's one of the line items in those meetings that I have is my personal education piece. I'm somebody who really believes that my best investment within our company is investing in myself, because I am the person that executes the things within our business. So last year I took 2 different programs. One was a monthly program, and the coach and mentor, I'm sure many of you follow, I'm not going to share publicly because she is incredible. It has absolutely nothing to do with her. So much feedback inside of that community was coming back so positive. It was a monthly login thing, and I'm telling you, it was exactly the same thing. I rarely logged in, and it was costing me $90 something a month. So it wasn't like it was cheap. It's just always it got put on the back burner for me. Then I signed up for a different course that was a specific container on a specific topic, and it dropped content to me. So every week there was teaching, there was some pre-recorded content, there was a live session for a Q&A, and there was actually something I needed to do in my business to get me finished at the end. And in those 4 weeks at the end of that, I mean, Jess, I was constantly messaging you. I was like, my life is changing. This is so good for my business. And every week I kind of had I had workbooks, and I actually took the time to sit down and fill it out, which is not typically something that I would do in a looser setting, when it's just kind of like you show up to the sessions you want to and you learn some things. I was finding that I was easily brushing that off. Whereas in this scenario, because there was something I needed to do before the next week, I found that I actually held it through, and I knew in 4 weeks I was going to be done, and I was had this incredible asset and knowledge base at the end of it that I am using every single day. And it has fundamentally changed the way I operate my business.
It becomes so easy to focus in on the crisis that you need to deal with in your business. Like, what is the burning fire that I have to handle today? That anything else gets pushed to the side so quickly unless you intentionally carve out time to accomplish it. And then that's where you find yourself missing those really important building blocks. And that's where I think all of a sudden, when you get further down the road in your business, and I know I went back and listened to your episode on employees and how hard it is that if you don't set the systems up and do the things, and then you're trying to onboard someone, how much harder that is when you don't have any of the backend systems set up. And I immediately drew that comparison to this of like, if you don't do some of these things and get them taken care of, because they aren't the crisis, it's not keeping the animals alive that are being the meat that you're going to sell to the customers. So it's really easy to say, hey, today I don't need to set my website up. The landing page is good enough. I don't have to do the rest of it. But then in a year, when people are complaining that they can't order without dropping off a form, or they can't find information, you're getting inundated with questions about how are you raising your animals, because that's really important to them. All of a sudden you've grown so big, everything takes so much time, and then you're having to drag yourself back out of it to do these tasks that had you just implemented them from the beginning, you would be in a much better place. And that's where I really think we're going to find value. And I am so, so excited to see. So we should share, we talked about this. We should share what we have. Are we calling them programs or containers?
I feel like programs.
I have gone back and forth.
We haven't decided, so we're deciding live right now.
Yes, we've been calling them we started out as containers, which I feel like, is that a trendy word?
I feel like it's too digital marketing, and that's just not us.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that, I guess. So we call them programs, but then do I love that? I guess I'll have to ruminate on that some more.
At the time that you listen to this, we will have decided this.
Oh yeah,
we will know what we're calling it.
But welcome to the behind the scenes. That's what this is for, is to show you kind of the behind the scenes. So we call them programs, containers. So we have 2 right now that we are actively building out. We have a list of, I think we're over 10 different ones now. It just becomes a way of having to sort of take everything out of our brain and realign it into these things, and then build out the resources, and then set up the tech behind the scenes. And that whole exhausting 15 steps just to get
Yeah.
to launch is we're deep in the middle of that. So the first one that we are going to roll out, and it's because this topic has made such a huge difference in our businesses. You heard Kendall mention it earlier, fundamentally changed the way that she runs her business. It also just got me $17,000 in grant money that I could not have done without it. So I cannot say enough. And that comes with the caveat that I was not the biggest fan. And you've heard that if you've listened to the episodes.
Against it.
Not a fan.
You're making it sound like you were just like, I maybe didn't think I liked it. No, you were anti.
I was adamantly against it. So AI, and we're not talking artificial insemination.
Nope. I know that needs a disclaimer. When I first told Jay about it, he's like, what are you talking about? You're taking a workship on AI.
He's like, where's the semen? Where's that? Like, you're like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. AI, artificial intelligence. And I will say I'm still very against it replacing your voice, especially in social media where it's a social app and people are expecting this to be, that's the way they connect with you. So I'm very against it that way. Still, I was very, very upset's not the right word, but like, what? When Kendall told me that she fed AI some of the publicly facing information about my business, I was like, you did what? Like,
then I showed you what it could do.
Yeah, I know.
So if you have taken an AI workshop before, if you have subscribed to somebody's newsletter so you could get a few prompts, I feel very confident that that is like so surface level to what we do within our businesses using AI. This is not, you can use it to write captions on Instagram and things like that, but that is like, that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about deep level. Jay was really against it too. And then he sat with me yesterday because we are working through a business plan with Jagger, and he sat here with me and watched me do it. And at the end, he was like, whoa, I did not realize it could do that. I cannot, it's literally my coworker. I said that to Jay. I was like, AI is my coworker. It is with me all day, every day. It is fundamentally changed the way we do business. It has freed up so much time for me. It has had, and I keep in mind, you guys, I spent thousands of dollars on programming last year on this topic and countless, like so many hours dialing this all in last year. So this is not something like, this is something I take really seriously, this topic. It has had a huge financial return on investment for me. It literally means that I can duplicate myself and have so much more time in my day to be able to accomplish more. It's a game changer. So we're really excited. If you can't tell, I'm very passionate about that topic.
I can definitely see the value now. And I was wrong. There is a value there. I still think it requires responsible use. I'm still adamant about it not replacing your voice. I felt so much better once we worked through how to truly how do I say this? Because let's be honest, I'm saying the inside thought out loud here, which is pretty par for the course for me.
That's what this podcast is.
Well, and that's me. Like, you can't take me to a meeting without worrying about what I'm going to say.
I know this.
But it's about having it do things to create efficiency inside your business without replacing you or your thoughts or your knowledge or your expertise. I do not want to see people jumping into it and having it write recipes and they can't scramble an egg.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You know what I mean? That's where I'm kind of like, I'm always wanting that disclaimer, I think, of just like responsible use. Also, I feel
there's a whole section on using it with integrity and responsible usage to make sure that you're protected by all the things. Anyways, very excited about this topic. And then topic number 2, Jess, is
starting a rural business and really taking it from idea to implementation in terms of starting a business. And I love both of these topics together launching pretty close to each other because it kind of represents the two ends of the spectrum that we see. Like, a lot of times we're working with women who are very established in their business. They've got it drilled down. They know what they're doing. They just need to like fine tune it, or they need to catch up on those building blocks that they missed when they were running and gunning to get started. And that's where like the AI piece is such a game changer. But you have to know to do the AI and do it well and have it be useful. You have to know who you're talking to.
You gotta know some stuff.
You gotta have your business stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You can use AI to like think of business ideas, I guess,
Yes.
but that's not the point. But then we get in our DMs a lot of times, like I'm thinking about this. Is group coaching the right spot for me? Hey, do you ever do a workshop on how to start a business? I have an idea. And before this, it's always been like, well, group coaching is really helpful, but you're going to kind of like jump into Gen Pop and what's coming up next month, maybe sales funnels versus, the month after that is visual marketing. It could be anything.
Yes.
And that's a really good way to get lost right out the gate. And so having that ability to say, okay, we're going to walk you through what problem you're solving. Who is your ideal customer? What platforms are you going to be on? Is your business name available? Like all of these things, all of these questions.
Organizational stuff.
Oh my gosh,
so that you are
much.
not a hot mess. Like, all the things that we did right and all the things we wish we did differently. And all the things that from being in this coaching and mentorship space for years now, whether it was me with group coaching and marketing for farmers, whether it was just working through Gather with so many rural entrepreneurs at all different stages in business, we have been in this space now for years between our own business and this, and being able to see what mistakes other women were making and we were making and what we all wish we did differently, and give that to you from the very beginning so that you can move faster and smarter than we did when we were starting out.
Yeah, I really enjoy that I can kind of put everything into that course of every lesson I've watched play out through different things, like not knowing your land use, your zoning, not knowing your permitting processes, not knowing if you're infringing on someone else's trademark. I mean, there are so many little nuances. And obviously, we can't speak to everyone's specific location, but this is going to be the course that you're going to write down all the things that you're learning from us. And then we're going to tell you where to go to make sure that you're getting the correct answers, so that a year in and hundreds of hours of time put into your business, you're not having the rug yanked out from underneath of you because something wasn't done right. So that's like super passionate about that. And I'm really, really excited to roll these out. And then coming after that, we have all sorts of things like websites and emails and just the whole list of stuff. It'll just take us some time to get it all done. But that is where we are heading. That is where we are heading with group coaching shutting down. We have let them know about what that timeline looks like. We've left it open for the women to make sure that they're getting what they need out of it for the last little bit here and have access, making sure we notified them right. So they heard it first. They got it in an email. They got it in the Mighty Networks app. And then now, if you want a taste of what's happening, come here for the podcast. Come here, listen to us, catch up on some things, some different topics for us. And when you're ready and you're really ready to like kick butt and take names, come join us in one of the programs. And we will drop a link in the show notes of where to go to find that information. Even if the programs aren't ready for purchase yet, it'll at least take you to the landing page so you can add your email in if you're interested.
I love it. I am so excited to be able to bring this new opportunity to the women in this space. And like Jess said, the podcast will still be here to give you those little tangible tips and business experience and just community that we think we all really need. So we look forward to joining you in that new space. Thank you for listening to this episode. We know there are only so many hours in the day, so we're honored you choose to spend some of your time with us. If you're one of the many rural women entrepreneurs who are struggling to find true community and step-by-step support that actually moves the needle in your business, join our signature group coaching program, the Workhorse Collective. You can find more information in the show notes of today's episode.
Together, we've set out to support and connect with women in rural business. If you found this episode valuable, we'd love it if you'd share with another woman in your circle. It would also be incredibly helpful if you would take a moment to leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and we'll catch you next time on the Workhorse Podcast.